Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 30 here in the Happy Space Prison. Can you believe we made it to 30 episodes already? Today, we're going to be working on some space stuff. We're going to be launching our first rocket, getting some research done. It's been a little while since I've been able to do any episodes here in the Happy Space Prison because it's just been a very, very busy time at work. And I'm about to leave for a business trip tomorrow. So I'm hoping with what I've been working on, I'll have 2 new episodes to come out this week. But we'll do the best we can. But let's get on into space and see if we can't get some research going. Before we get started with today's work, I wanted to take a moment to review some things. We are at episode 30, which is a pretty big milestone in the series, so I want to go through and show you where we are with achievements, because we had a few that we have finished throughout some times when we were either AFK or working on other things, so I didn't focus on them. We still have our main achievements to complete, and I'm just going to go through and show you the ones that we still have to do, and to take note of any that we've gotten done since the last time. So space race, we still have to launch a rocket, which we should get done today. Honorary doctorate, we need to finish the research tree, which involves getting our research rockets into space, and we may be able to finish that today as well, or at least get a very good chunk of it done. For Critter Whisperer, we did do a few tames in this one because we have in our water tank, we had a Paku, so I tamed one of those just to get that done. We still need to do the Puffed and the Shine Bug, which we have them occasionally in our main base, so it should be pretty easy to set up a grooming station to get them tamed, make a little area for that. And the Gassy Moo is a one that we need to get to space. We did discover the planet that it's on. We just have to get a rocket that's able to get there, get it back, and get it tamed. For some reservations, we still need to build 2 more nature reserves, which is just a matter of getting the tiles in place and getting it set up. We will probably get another one of those knocked out when we work on building the facilities for our astronauts, and then we'll have to choose another place for another one. The Gassy Moo is another achievement based on the one that we saw up there before. Not okay, but pretty cool. To do this, we need to get out to get some fullerene so that we can get some super coolant, but we did locate where that is, so that should not be difficult. Get a room, we need to build a couple more rooms. We'll probably just build them to get the achievement done. They're not ones that I necessarily need for the playthrough that we're doing, but it'd be nice to get them. Recreation room would be nice in one of our bases, so we'll probably use one of those that are actually a purpose built. But the luxury barracks, we've already started doing private bedrooms, so I don't think we have a need for luxury barracks. In the greenhouse, we have wild planted food for the most part, so unless we build another farm for some reason, we probably will not do that one, except to get the achievement. As far as other ones that we have finished off recently, we did the finely tuned machine, which we got 100 tune-ups on power generators. That was done through the course of just letting our map AFK, because we had the duplicants doing that on our petroleum generators. It has actually helped us have quite a bit more power out of those, so we've been letting that go since we have plenty of refined metal to do it. Down the hatch, we need to produce 10 tons of refined metal by ranching smooth hatches. We can either feed some refined metal to our stone hatchlings to get a smooth hatch, or bring one back from space to get this one done. Or started it and done. And then we did do the immovable object by building that meteor shield using the bunker doors. When a meteor hit it, we got the immovable object achievement. And then, of course, we need to do job suitability, which is always kind of a pain to get done in the achievement runs, because it's finicky. But we're getting very close to having those achievements done, and then we can do the Great Escape, where we send a duplicate on a one-way mission, and all we need for Home Sweet Home is to build a great monument. So we're definitely getting close to being done with all the achievements in this run. Though we do want to do a little more than just the achievements. I want to get out into space and really go through all the things that we do in the base game, because this is the first time I played the base game, and our next series is going to be in the Spaced Out DLC. So kind of want to get it all covered in this series if possible. So in order to get our rocket up and running, we need to do some power for it. So in this case, we're using a steam engine. So we need to build a steam facility. So I have this area here that I have set up as space inside of our new astronaut facility. And I think I'm going to utilize it to make our steam facilities because it's right next to here, which means we will not need to send steam very far, which will be helpful because it can be kind of tedious getting the steam working the way you want if you're running it over long periods. So I'm going to get started. We're going to build an area here where we can generate some steam so that we can start getting the engine fueled up. The one thing that's nice about working in space is that if I want to create a vacuum, all I have to do is build the room, remove the background tiles, and instant vacuum. So I'm building an area here where we're going to have our steam generation system. So I have power coming down, and I'm connecting that up into the system. That we're going to have a section down here where we have some petroleum, and then we're going to have a thermal, a liquid tepidizer, liquid tepidizer down in here so that we can keep that petroleum at a stable temperature. And then we're going to just have an aqua tuner that runs a coolant loop through that. And that way the aqua tuner can run to generate some heat and create some steam in this room. Then we'll be able to put some gas pumps in that will pump steam over to our steam engine. We're also going to need to run some water lines up to here, and we'll get an automation system so that we can pump more water in to replace the water that is turned into steam as we take steam out. So it's a pretty simple process, but it has a couple of moving parts. Also, I just wanted to note that with when it comes to our rocket bay, I'm kind of designing this as something that's a little more aesthetic. Like these bunker tile walls here to protect this stuff in here isn't necessary. I just think it looks more like a rocket. So I've also been going through, and anytime the ladders get hit, I just disable auto repair and then suppress the damage bar so that way that we don't keep trying to repair over and over and over these ladders that are going to continue to get broken. So anytime that they are getting hurt, we just do that and we all set. So I'm gonna have to change this so that I can actually reach in there because that's gonna bug me, but we'll see. We'll get there in a minute. So I'm gonna finish getting this area built up. The next step we need to do is put some drywall across the bottom again, and then we're gonna put in a liquid vent. And just because I know myself and I know that I will forget, I'm going to also put in automation for a hydro sensor that will be, let's get rid of the ladder here so that I can put it there, that will shut it off when I have enough liquid in here, because otherwise I'm going to let this overflow and we'll just lose petroleum to space. Gotten the basics of our setup going. We now have our tepidizer in place. There's some petroleum in there. We're doing a thin layer of it along the bottom here as well so that we can use it in our steam room. I'm going to put in an aqua tuner. Let me think how I want to set this up. The plumbing for this is I want to make it so that make sure that this loop gets involved. So we're going to put down the aqua tuner. We're going to put in a plumbing thermal sensor like normal. We'll connect that up. And then we need to do plumbing for our aqua tuner. So we're going to do a liquid bridge above it. We're going to have our piping come through here like this, and then like this. We'll come down here. Best way to do this. We want to connect this to the plumbing below. We could go just like this. Then we'll come around like this. We'll come back up. We could just go right there. And then we wouldn't need these two sections in the middle. I think that should be okay. We need to connect power up to this. And then once we start getting water in here, it will get heated up into steam, and so we're going to use an atmo sensor to regulate how much water gets put in. So it looks like this petroleum is now full. I want to do a little bit more in there, and then I'm going to leave this connected because I'm going to use that to put petroleum into our cooling loop. No, I don't want to construct this yet. I do want to deconstruct this. So we're getting everything there pretty well together. The last thing I need is a automation sensor for here. And I'm trying to think of how I want to do the automation for this aqua tuner. So the aqua tuner, I want it to run to continue to generate heat for the steam. So I want it to be based on the thermosensor, but I also want to make sure I don't go too cold with the coolant. So I think I'm going to have to do an end gate, which means we can put it, I'm trying to think of the easiest way to set that up. Let's do it here like this. And then when we run our automation wires, we'll do one from our thermosensor to here, one from this one up to here. And then we'll disconnect this and this and this. And that should make it so that we can control this. The aqua tuner will run when the coolant is above a certain temperature and this is below a certain temperature. So we'll only run the aqua tuner if the petroleum is less than like 200 degrees. That way we don't overheat the petroleum, and we will make sure the coolant doesn't get too cool, and that way we don't actually crack any pipes. Once we do that, we'll be able to run our water in. We now have I ran water pipe from down at our water tank all the way down here, and it's just going to pump water up. And I decided to run it through underneath this area because we're going to be using water in here as well, so we might as well already have it that we can patch into. And it's coming up here, so this will put up this way, and that should be good. We're going to need to use a bridge to bridge petroleum onto here. I can get rid of this. Done with that now. Okay, and then all we need to do is get this running so that it's heating up this petroleum, and then dump water in. So then all we have left after that is our lines for our steam. So we're going to run a ventilation line like this. We're going to come out here. Let's go down. And what we're going to do is come out this way, and then we're going to loop it back. And we're going to come back up here. We're going to go like this. I think that we should be able to put it there. Put a high pressure gas vent there. So the idea is this will control it so that we make sure we keep the steam in this room at like 4 kilograms so that we continue to put water in to keep it pressured up. But we'll leave enough room that the high pressure gas vent can put steam back in. And the idea is we'll send steam. The rocket needs the steam. It'll take the steam. But then once the rocket is full, the steam will go back and it'll get dumped out in here. I'm also going to want to put in a signal switch that is in here, that we have an automation wire that runs up and connects to both of these. That way we can turn it off when we're not using it. And later, if we need to, we can connect an automation line from the rocket. So when there's no rocket here, it won't send any steam out. That should be the pretty basic level of automation that we need to keep this running in a pretty good way. So we'll let this all get built. We'll connect up the water line and get rid of the petroleum line, and we can just let it run for a little bit and see how the steam works and see if I forgot anything. Everything's now running, and we're just cleaning up everything around. I did add a little bit more automation in. I just put in a atmo sensor that makes sure that we have at least 1,000 grams of steam in the room before we pump it out, just so the pumps aren't running when there's not enough steam to feed the line fully. That's working with the end gate, so that way I can still turn it off when I want to using that. So we now have water running through our line. It's going to take a little while to get all the way up here, but once the water starts pumping in, we'll be able to start creating steam. So we want to make it so that this vent is open whenever the steam is below, I think I'm going to try 4,000 grams. That'll give us enough in here that we should be able to keep up with it, and it still allow it for the steam to return back in. And then this pump should be able to feed steam to the rocket pretty quickly, as fast as one pump can, and we'll be able to get our rocket fueled up and get ready to launch our research rocket for the very first time. Ran into a slight hiccup. You can see there is a bunch of steam down here. I actually opened up the background to vent a little bit of it, and I'm doing my best to fix the problem. The issue is just a stark reminder that materials in space are very, very hot. While I built this all out of bunker tiles to protect it from meteors, I didn't think about the fact that the debris that would be sitting here, it just makes the whole thing very hot. Like right now we have Regulus sitting there. Let's sweep that up. It's just the bunker tiles are getting super hot. So I put in some insulated tiles to prevent the heat from transferring over. And I have temporarily run our coolant loop down, so we're cooling down these bunker tiles. Basically, the water line ran through those tiles. Those tiles were over 100 degrees. The water heated up above 100 degrees, and it's still quite hot. It's still cracking a little bit. But we're going to get the steam out of here and get everything running. The system itself is running really, really well. Steam just cycles through, it goes out. And I used insulated ventilation pipes, so none of the heat's transferring there. I'm also putting in insulated lines for the water, which I didn't think about. I'm going to do that because even if it's not because of the tiles, this water will be sitting in here inside this room. It definitely needs to be insulated. Otherwise, we're going to have cracking pipes forever. Can't think about everything. So I'm going to get that all fixed up. We're going to get this steam out of here. We'll vent some of it. Once we get things cooled down enough, it'll turn back into water. We can clean it up that way too, and then we'll be good. We're ready now to launch our rocket, so I'm going to let them keep working on that while we go through and set up our rocket to do it. So we want to have our gantry open so our astronaut can get there, and then we have a destination set because we already picked this one. So all we need to do is launch the rocket. So we have another thing we can mark off. I think that all we have to do is go onto the star map to launch it. So let's launch our rocket, and then we're going to want to pull the gantry out now that it's going. So let's see how that goes. Oh, very, very simple. This is the first time I've ever really launched a rocket in the base game. We have a lot of steam coming out from that. That's going to also cause some heat issues in here. We should be okay now that we have some insulated tiles protecting this area. I think it should be okay. So we're going to keep an eye on this rocket. It's going to take 3 cycles for the rocket to make its way there. And then while there, it will do, because we have research, we will get some of this research done. We'll get some more information about the planet or the asteroid that we're going to, the carbon asteroid, and be able to see a little bit more information, and that'll help us come up with a plan of how we're going to proceed. Still combating the heat down here. I did run a coolant line over to cool down this area a little bit faster, and it's working. It's just going to take time. And I also am putting an insulated line all the way across, and I set this to run even to allow water to go in here, even though this is already over the pressure I want it, just because I want to get this water out of the line. I cut it off farther down, and I'm just letting it run through to pick up some of that heat and get out, and then that way we don't have any more steam forming. But we'll get it all condensed down. It's already starting to cool down. It's getting right on that edge, so it'll be done pretty quick. We did get the achievement for going to space, so we'll check that out in just a second, but we are about to have our rocket come back in. Let's do it real quick. The space race achievement, launch a rocket into space. That one's off of our list. And now we're just waiting for the rocket to come in and land, and then we can observe that and see how it all works and check out the star map. On the star map, it shows us how many cycles we have before the rocket returns, what its status is, and the different things that we have done. So I'm hoping to see how this research works once it lands, and we'll be able to proceed with sending more rockets and figuring out what we need to do as far as getting other rockets built and underway. All right, our rocket is inbound. Our space mission has completed. So we should see our rocket landing right now. That's excellent. So we do get exhaust on the return as well. It doesn't look like it's as much as when it takes off, but I'm not sure about that. So we'll be able to get that. It looks like it automatically drops off what we've gotten from our rocket mission, including we got a vacillator recharge. I don't have any vacillators left, so it doesn't matter. But, you know, next time I play, keep them around so I can use them. Data banks, we got 300, which means we can start doing some research. And like I said, some more steam came out of that. So if we want to, we can set up some capture systems to regain some of that steam. I don't know if it's really worth that effort, but we do want to work on the heat issue. Right now, we're doing fine with the heat because there is nothing underneath here that's going to be affected by the heat that is in this area, and it just vents, but we want to actually use that. So we'll work on that in the future. I'm going to check out our star map now, and it looks like, okay, so we did the research here for all of these, and unlock that. Now we can see all the different things that are available at this asteroid, which means it's completely researched. So I guess what we should do next is set this rocket for this asteroid, so we can do the same over here. As far as refueling, it's already doing the refueling, and this is the reason I wanted to keep this at a lower amount of steam, because now it's going to sit here in the lines. We'll probably have some issues with that, but we'll continue to pump some steam into rockets, and we'll get it back in order pretty soon. So we need to let this heat continue to dissipate. We need to let the rocket fuel. But while we're doing that, I'm going to start building another rocket pad. So we want 7 blocks across. So we're going to, I need to do all. So we're going to deconstruct 7 blocks here. We'll work our way down from the top. We'll put another steam engine in. We'll remove the top, and we'll work out the other side of this rocket bay. I think what I'm going to do is I'll have 2 rockets in each spot. That way we can have a wall up that will have the gantry. And then once we get that, we may work on blocking this in so that we can figure out if we want to capture that steam and just how we're going to do that as well. So yeah, we're having problems with our steam now. So let's just set this Atmos sensor to allow steam back in. Oh no, that's not going to work because that's just for the pump. We're not going to be able to put any steam back in because the high pressure vent is over pressurized. We'll just have to deal with the problem as it is going. Once we see that this rocket gets completely fueled up, we'll turn it off so that we can stop pumping it out. And this little bit of steam that's in here is just going to crack, and we'll have to deal with that. Made a couple of changes to our steam system. I had this petroleum going all the way across, and it was sitting on top of this heavy watt joint plate, which meant that this chamber and this chamber were connected thermally, which meant that as I heated this up, it heated this chamber up, and as I cooled this chamber down, it cooled this chamber down. So it was just going to run forever. So now this chamber is getting hotter and hotter. This one's staying at the 85 degrees that the tepidizer keeps it at, and so we're set. So there's a vacuum in here for the power. I realized after I built this, I could have just run power down, not have put in this joint plate, but it's done now. It's going to stay there. So we also sent our rocket on another mission for research. So we have this asteroid now completed as well. At least we will once the rocket comes in for a landing. And the goal is I want to see exactly how that works as far as getting the research done. So I think we should get another 300 data banks if everything makes it the same. This time we got a small obelisk as well from that place, which is pretty cool. So now we have 600 data banks. The next thing we want to work on, now that all of this is set up, is we want to start using those data banks to do research. So to do that, we need a new station, which is the virtual planetarium. Now, the virtual planetarium is a building that consumes research or consumes data from research modules. So we need a data bank, we need power, we need a skilled duplicant to operate it. So we don't need it to be up in space. So I'm just going to put it down here, I think, with our other research buildings, so that it's easy for us to get this research going. I wonder if I can fit it right in here. Looks like that'll be perfectly fine. We'll connect some power up to it. That means we'll be able to go get those data banks. We'll be able to do research using the virtual planetarium. So what we want to do with that is we have this section of research here. So looking at what we have, the first thing we should probably want to do is we can either do the solid fuel thruster, which means that we'll be able to burn iron and oxalate to increase our rocket exploration distance. We can do solid cargo. Those two are 400, and then we would be able to go into get half of one of these done before we go any farther. I think that this one we definitely want, and this one, so I think we are going to do that. The other option is we could pick one of these and then do one of the other ones. You know, I think I might actually do that. I think I'll do the solid fuel combustion and go into the hydrocarbon combustion. That way we can do a petroleum engine with a liquid fuel tank and a solid oxidizer tank. That should be able to make it so that we can actually get into petroleum rockets, which is our next step. I think we'll set that to be our research. We'll have to do the regular research, the advanced research, and then also this new research using our data banks that we got. Then I think that that's a good idea because this will allow us to go farther, which means we can get more data banks to do even more research. So in order to do that, we got to get the virtual planetarium set up, which just a matter of getting it built. And let's check out our skills for Nisbet. She's our research duplicant. I did already put her all the way up to astronomy research, which means she's good to go on that, and we'll be set. So once we get this built, she can do the research, and then we'll come back once we have some research done, and we can take on the next step. So we're just wrapping up our research on using the data banks we had. I sent the rocket out on another mission so I could finish building these drywall tiles behind us, and did get 50 more data banks. So I guess you can get a little more research out of other planets while you're still out there. I guess we need to finish researching other items that are available. Or actually, no, that was for this planet. This one I have all the information, but when I sent it for a second mission, we still got more data banks. So I'll have to figure out how that works. But I also set up a gas pump system to recover some of the steam that's in here. It goes up and it runs through a filter so that the carbon dioxide is vented. I don't know that it's really worth all the effort. You don't get a ton of steam out of it, and steam is pretty easy to produce. So I'm gonna let it go for now. The pipes here keep breaking, but I think that's just because they're very cold. Once the pipes are warmed up, I think that they will be all right. I don't know. We'll see. I did put in the window tiles down here so that they can get heated up and we can start working on that. One of these got broken when a meteor hit. I was kind of surprised by that. So I might have to look and see. I would have thought with the bunker tile there that they wouldn't have, but maybe I'll have to put in another row of bunker tiles. Probably the best way to do it. That way we can make sure that we don't have any damage. But we'll still get the heat transfer from it. And that's the goal right now. But for now, they're just using that heat to keep this room hot so that steam stays hot. As it condenses into water, in some places it boils back off. But later we'll want to have it be transferred somewhere else to be used for making some power. As far as the research goes, we have finished those two, and now we can work on solid cargo next. We'll have to go and get more research. I wanted to check and see if we're able to get to this rocket using a steam rocket. So we have to wait for it to be fueled, but I'm not sure what the maximum range when the rocket is filled with fuel. Also, when you fuel the rockets, the more fuel you put in, the more weight penalty you have. So we may have to look into that. I know that there are calculators you can use to determine fuel you need. But I do not think we're going to be able to get here with just a regular steam rocket. I think we're going to have to set up other rockets to get out here to this distance and farther. So that'll be what we work on in the next episode. For now, we're going to leave this go. We still have a lot more things to do. We want to do a recapture system for the heat. We want to start getting into doing other types of rockets and doing rockets with cargo bays so that we can collect resources. But there's a lot more to do, but we have a good amount of a foundation here so we can start learning how the rockets work and do things like that. We got to open this gantry so duplicate make it out. So I hope you enjoyed watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.